many of you were up late last night? A few people clear today. Well, thank you very much for coming in. You'll notice that not everybody is in the room today, so the people who are in the room tells us one thing, that you guys are here to be part of it and to learn, and the thing is you can't learn unless you watch the replay, if you're not in the room. So the goal of today is to go through basically a process that, like I said a few of you last time, exists within the corporate world, corporate structure. And for those who don't know sort of a bit more about me, I first started working in a corporate environment in 2009 with Dell, Hewlett-Packard, 3M, Fujitsu Siemens, Panasonic, Kingston University. So we've done lots of different health and wellness things within a corporate environment, and then that's kind of expanded more into personal development. And one thing that really stood out for me is that those corporations have development days and team building days and all of these things that help grow the individuals within their company. But within chiropractic, it can be a bit isolating. Obviously, we do lots of great self-development at these seminars, but something I felt, and maybe it's just me, but sometimes I'd walk away and say, oh, that was great, I got some really good ideas, but there wouldn't be much action. And today is all about trying to encourage us to take action alongside all the great learning that we've done up until this point. Anything to add, Michael?
Nothing. Did you cover it all?
All right. Well, I'm going to start. So, if you open up your envelopes for me, please.
We had some guys come in a little bit just after we started. Amazing, thank you. So if you don't have a little black envelope, can you just put your hand up, guys? Thank you.
Great. So inside your envelope, you've got two things. You've got a name tag and you've got a inspirational chiropractic card or a Lions card. So your Lions card, well, first of all, we don't want you to write your name on your name tag. We don't want to write your
Actual name.
Yeah. We want you on your name tag to write down what your nickname was whenever you were a kid. Whenever you were in school, what did your mates call you? I was Conor. At least it's smart Conor in my head. You know, so whatever, you were just being, right?
I was Bean. My surname is Matt Bean.
So we want you just to write down on there and stick it on your shirt or your top for today what your nickname was when you were a kid. So you can all do that for us.
We had a great childhood nicknames.
Let's hear some of the nicknames.
We had a really good childhood nickname. Come on, Giannis, put your hand up. Tom, what was your childhood nickname?
Well, I did have. I have to make one up because they just told me.
Clicky.
It's a little bit of sometimes you put one on the way.
There you go.
Alright. So the other card that you guys have got in your envelope is a little inspirational Lions card. And what we're going to do with this is try and get people moving around a bit. So often in times in our lives, there are lots of things that are in our control, and there are lots of things that are outside of our control. And often it's the things that are outside of our control that put us either out of our comfort zone or put us into places where we might experience an opportunity that we might otherwise not have had. So if you all look at your Lions card, what I would like you to do, please, is to go and sit with the other people who have the same card as you.
So find them in the room.
So if you are one person with the card, maybe just own a table and then make sure you find the rest of your pride to come and sit at your table who have the same card as you, please.
Alright, I'm going to play some music so we got something to do with. Stand up, everybody. You're going to need to move. You're not going to be at the same tables. You do the same card. What card is it? People online, you get to be your own little table, your own virtual table. So whenever we do the exercises, we want you guys to chat to each other on the chat box and come up with some of the ideas. So the idea of the round table is that you're able to interact with different people with different backgrounds, based in different clinics, maybe at different stages of your chiropractic career, from student through to being a clinic owner. And the power of the roundtable is having those different perspectives, which hopefully will encourage you to gain some new ideas.
There guys, quickly, let's move on. Find your food, take a seat, get a table. Introduce yourself if you haven't done so already.
Okay, everybody at the stage bar can grab a seat. Might need to do a little bit of shuffling if you guys want to
You're going to do your own.
there's a great thing over there. You guys can hear. Go to this one yet?
Winky.
Yeah, you guys just stand up here, please go over to this. Charlie. Look back over here. Go to the back table. One, Charlie, you want to go to the back table?
Cool. So does every table have at least 4 or 5 people at it? Yes. Great.
So, why did we do that? Anybody got any ideas? Mix us up. Why would we mix you up? Why would we not let you sit with your friends on a Sunday morning? Out of your comfort zone, that's part of it, yeah?
Different experiences.
Yes.
Exactly. Alright. So, Apple were very famous for roundtable events. And at an Apple roundtable event, you could have Steve Jobs, CEO of the company, sat with the intern who's just joined for a short period of time. And the reason he was so confident and really wanted to put effort into doing that is because different people at different levels have different perspectives. And so someone who's been in practice for 20 years obviously can teach someone who's been a student a lot about chiropractic, but someone who's a student might know more about social media or a new way of marketing, or somebody who's based in a clinic up in Newcastle might have a different sort of perspective on how they market or how they develop their clinic, or the techniques or the demographics they work with, than somebody who's based in London. So the idea is that we're going to use the knowledge in the room. One of the big things about chiropractic conferences is that often some of the best conversations you have are at the bar. And the thing is that all of you guys in here are experts in your own right. You all have expertise. All of you could stand up on stage and give a talk, like the people did yesterday. I know some of you probably like, I'm not going to do that. And that's not for everybody, but the thing is that you have experience, you have ideas, you're intelligent, you know, and so we want to encourage you to share with each other today and use the room, use the experience in it to gain some new perspectives. Is that okay?
Yeah.
All right. So the first thing we're going to do, I'm going to draw it up on here. So you've all got A3 pads. So take a piece of paper from the A3 pad each.
Pass it around, please, guys. To share an A3 pad each. Please make sure you look after this page, guys. You're going to be using it all day. You're going to be taking it home with you as well. So you need to tidy your lights and colour inside the lines for that. If you guys need more pads, you should have things there. Under pressure.
Alrighty, so just follow where I'm drawing stuff today. So on the first bit at the top here, we're going to draw a star like this, okay? So draw that for me first of all in the top corner. You can use quite a bit of, say use the top sixth of the page. There's good space, you can use over halfway.
So we all the right side and left side of the brain people are in the room today.
So, the goal of this is that you're going to now do what we call the 9 dimensions of life. Okay? So, you guys now are outside of your friendship groups potentially, but certainly outside of your normal day-to-day activity. And we want to again just take a pause, kind of building on what Naomi said yesterday, just taking a pause to think about like, where are you at right now? We're kind of coming out of this whole weird last 2 years of COVID, and you know, what is going to be like in the future. So part of my talk today is about forecasting for 2030. So everybody in 2019 was like, new decade, new me. Oh, I've got so many plans in this decade. I'm going to preach my gospel, I'm going to do this. And then COVID hit. So now we've lost 2 years because people's businesses were in like compensation mode, survival mode. People were locked down, isolated from each other. And now finally we can get back together and we can refocus. So now we've got 8 years to accomplish all those things that we've planned for a decade's worth of time. So we're starting to think about what happens 8 years from now, what your life's going to be like in 2030. But the first part of that is taking stock of where you are right now. So this, we're going to kind of, Tony Robbins uses this and he grades it 1 to 10, right? So we're not going to be that specific. But the further away you are from the center is the more awesome that aspect of your life is. Okay? And so what you're going to write is the area of your life that it's up on here. So write whatever, I'm going to go through them in a second. But if it's at the top, then it's awesome. If it's in the middle, needs some work. And if it's at the bottom, needs a lot of work. Okay? So the first one is physical health. For chiropractors, talk to patients about this all day long. How is your physical health? Have you been going to the gym? You need to work on that. So if you write physical health up in the top one, and then put a point on there if it's awesome and you're smashing it, needs a bit of work, or I haven't really been focused on that for a while. So next one down is your dietary health. So that also includes supplementation, you know, based upon what Simon was sharing yesterday. Do you need to think about like your vitamin D? Need to get one of those little finger prick blood tests? Or are you smashing it in that area too?
And I think the key there, guys, is to be as honest as possible with yourself.
How is your sleep and recovery? Next one down. Are you sleeping well? Are you tracking your sleep? Are you getting 6 to 8 hours? Is it restful? Do you feel rested when you wake up? Are you taking holidays? Chiropractors don't like to take holidays because it means we don't earn money when we're in the clinic. So appropriate holidays is really important, appropriate breaks. So sleep and recovery. Also could be, do you get chiropractic yourself as a chiropractor? Do you get massages, acupuncture, all of those things? Your mental outlook is next. So mental outlook, and that basically comes down to how happy you are or how stressed you are. So that's kind of how I balance it. Like stress generally suggests that you're not at ease, whereas happiness or contentment, shall we say, means ease mentally. All right, next one.
Guys, can everyone read Conor's handwriting, by the way?
I'm dyslexic. You don't get to read the hand. That's why I'm talking. That's why it's a webinar. Yeah, career monkey. Why's your monkey? Career and money. So, are you happy with how your career is going? Like Naomi talked about being super busy in clinic, 101 patients in a day, smashing it in those sort of old term, school terms of what chiropractors are. Chiropractors use how many people you see a day, like a bench press, like what's your bench, bro?
Yeah.
What's your clinic numbers? Oh, you only see 60 a day, I'm not talking to you. So, and I know people who have a really busy clinic, but they haven't balanced that with their lifestyle, and so their money, if they injure themselves or for whatever reason can't practice for a while, their mortgage, their car payments, everything else is based upon them seeing 600 people a week. When that falls, then they're in trouble. So how balanced is your career and money? Do you want to make a change in that? Are you happy with that? Are you unhappy with that? Next is creativity and adventure. So this is me being creative, my creative outlet. Sometimes in chiropractic, because it's, can be a little bit going through the motions of like patient in, assess them, adjust them, next patient in, assess them, adjust them. It can, after a period of time, become a bit repetitive. So do you have creativity? Do you have a creative outlet? Do you have a good hobby? Do you have the adventure of going on holidays? Not many of us have been able to do that overseas, at least in the last little while. And adventure could be just picking different places to walk your dog day to day, but do you foster that in your life? And do you feel happy with that? And then last one.
You two more can you list out relationships?
She asked about fit it in. Your personal growth stroke life vision. Alrighty? So, are you on course with that? Are you off course with that? When it comes to those elements of your life that, the people that you influence, your circle of influence, be it your family, your friends, your community, do you feel like you are in the flow with that, or is it something that's a bit off at the minute? So they say if you're not growing, you're dying. Well, I think you're stagnating is probably a better word. So constant personal growth, and that could be, be seeking proactive counseling, not just I've got a problem, but I want to be like my best version of myself. Same thing that we apply with physical and neurological health. Do we apply that to these other aspects, mental health, things like that? Can you be more proactive with your personal growth? You are today because I'm forcing you to, but you may choose to at another time. Okay, so I want you now. Mike's done it over here. Great, he's done his one.
Oh, this is just a rough one, sorry. This is
not your one. Okay, so we want you to join up your jots. The top one was physical health. Oh, that was nine. Was it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6?
Sorry, there's one missing relationships, guys. Sorry.
Oh, your relationships is the top one.
And that's interpersonal relationships. It's
your friendships, your significant other, your family, your mum and dad, your brothers. Is there someone in your life who you still hold something, where you feel like you're not connecting with them fully? Because it's very difficult sometimes to do everything well. Like it's very difficult to be super successful in clinic and then have enough time for your kids and enough time for your significant other and enough time for yourself to work on rest and recovery and those type of things. So what we want to see is, like, is there a balance, or is there something that we need to try and put some energy in? So now that you have the full star, you can draw the lines in between and hopefully see what this spread is. And that. Alrighty, and then what we're going to do is we're going to pair up. So if you're in 2s or 4s, you know, you've got a partner, stable at the back, and I think we've got 5.
There's 5 here as well.
Okay, so one person from back table and one person from this table pair up. And otherwise, if you partner up, what we want you to do, first of all, is the first person is going to talk about one area they're proud of in their life. Like one of the things that they're smashing, like I am on the gym 4 times a week, it's been great. I've lost 6 stone in the last year, like it's been great. So one area you're proud of, I want you to write that down underneath your star. Okay, so write down an area you're proud of, and then write down one area you think needs some work underneath that, and you're going to pair up. So someone's going to be a number 1, someone's going to be a number 2. Show me who's number 1s. Number 1s, number 1s, and then number 2s. Number 2s. All right, so number 2s are going to go first. And they're going to tell number 1s about an area they're proud of and an area that needs some work. And number 1s, just listen to them say what they're proud of, what needs some work, and then give them some feedback if you have any thoughts. So we'll have 2 minutes, to do this, so a minute each. I'll tell you when to change halfway. And I like to use cinema scapes, like the music that is played in movies. So we're going to start with Gladiator. Now we are free. So, all right, so you can go. Write in something that you're proud of and something that you want to work on in the next year. Write it in the comments so we're getting some interaction with you and you can feel like you're part of the group. Look, there's a big number of you on there. There's at least a group of 6. So share it up if you want to hear it. Thank you very much. now useful? Get some good insights from your partner? Great. Alrighty. So now we're going to do an exercise. We're going to do a couple of times today of 5 things. What's it called? 5 things. Alright. How many of you got a good idea? Have a good idea? Some? Ever? Now the thing is that whenever people have a good idea, they tend to run with it. I was saying this example last night that I had a great idea for the name of my chiropractic company, Greenfields Health. I thought, Greenfields Health. Greenfields is what they have in Glastonbury where all the healing fields are. Makes sense. And I just went with it. I didn't think about it. And now my company is called Greenfields Health, and there's people called Greenfields, there's a Greenfields Health store, there's all this other stuff, and like now the company's been there since 2013, so I can't change the name, so whatever. So I'm stuck with Greenfields Health. And the point being that sometimes when we have a good idea, we tend to just go with it because it's a good idea. But what Apple always encouraged was to write down 5 good ideas. Or try to think not just the first good idea that comes into your head, but try and go, okay, that's a good idea, but then I'm going to try and think of a different good idea. So you've already written down 1 thing that you think you can work on. I want you to write down at least another 4 things based upon your pinwheel that you think you can also work on. Okay, so 5 things.
And this could be super broad, guys, could be super tight, it could be something as simple as you need to drink more water every day if that's trying to improve your physical health, or
Exactly.
I'm going to make sure I call my mum every Sunday if relationship is something you want to improve on. So it doesn't have to be huge ideas, but just good ideas.
Okay, so just give you a minute to do that. And again, you just want to check in with that pinwheel, or check in with yourself and things like, okay, maybe I'm at university and studying hard and I can be better at reading books outside of chiropractic, or just 5 little things you think you can work on. All right. Okay, you can finish up. What does this symbol remind you of? Superman or Superwoman, right? Well, I think you're all Superman and Superwomen in here. But the next question I want you to think of, and it's kind of one that I bring into the Alpha Leadership Formula I do, which is all about trying to like raise yourself up, get people to dress up like superheroes so they can go on and try and really think of themselves in their best version of themselves, right? So the question I want to write, and you don't have to write this one down on the sheet, you can just, if you grab one of the other little bits of paper, the 4 bits of paper in the middle, you can write it down on that, or you can write it down on something else, but I want you to write down, if you could have any superpower, what superpower would you choose? Maybe you want to fly, maybe you want to be super strong. People on Zoom, thank you for your comments.
Doreen is saying more walking, less driving. I think we can all appreciate that one.
Let's see your superpowers, people on Zoom. All right, give me some examples of superpowers.
Flying.
Flying?
Got in there first, Mark. I like it. Of course.
Enjoy. Fabulous.
Oh yeah, travel, wouldn't it?
That's a superpower.
Teleportation.
Teleportation.
That's a good one, John. Anyone else? Anyone something different?
Really quick, fast.
Speedy.
Yeah, like limitless.
Oh, limitless. Oh, yeah. Is that a superpower then?
Just you can learn expansively at a rapid rate.
Okay. Anything else? Any invisibility out there?
Super strength.
For strength, things like that?
Mind reading, maybe?
Mind reading.
X-ray vision, maybe, would make,
That would help.
make CBT a lot easier, wouldn't it?
No GCC complaints before spinal there. All right, now, as with many of these things, there's the twist. And the twist is just something for you to ponder as we think of it. So, the thing that you write down when you think about what superpower you want to have or what you would really love is often a reverse reflection of what you don't have in your life right now. So if you want to fly or teleport, what do you want to escape from? Why are you not happy in your environment right now? If you want to be fast and limitless, are you a bit overloaded with a new baby and running around a business and don't have enough hours in the day to do everything? If you're into mind reading, are you worried about what other people think about you? So have a little look at whatever you picked, and just think about it, because these are coming into some of the things that hold us back in that pinwheel from achieving what we want to achieve. Now, if you can all take another fresh piece of the A4 paper, and everybody has one.
You guys need more paper to sharpen as well, we've got loads, it should be more than enough to go around.
All right, what's that? Fish. Fish or whale, okay? It's a fish. What is it now?
Smelly fish.
Smelly fish. We call it a stinky fish. So, a stinky fish.
So my bit.
That was like Max time. You tell me the stinky fish.
So the sticky fish refers to that thing that we carry around with us, our self-limiting beliefs, that little voice that tells you to sit down and be quiet, you're not good enough, or you don't know what you're doing, or you're an imposter. And it's that stinky fish that we carry around that only gets stinkier. So more stinky?
Yeah.
Stinkier?
Stinkier.
The longer we carry it around. So on your A4 pages, everyone can draw a nice big fish. So you see somebody draw a little fish. And what we're going to do today is we're going to acknowledge our stinky fish, our fears, our anxieties, our self-limiting beliefs, whatever it might be.
What are the three common ones, Mike?
So you guys are all kind of connected to this. Fear of failure, often a big one. Anyone ever had that fear? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Fear of change, that can be quite scary. And then probably a big one that I think chiropractors struggle with is fear of judgment or rejection. So, and this might be, I suggest a care plan and they say no, or, Conor mentioned earlier, giving a talk, giving a presentation, I could never do that, like, what do you think I'm an idiot, or something like that. So, these are kind of the three big ones that we came up with when we sat down and went through our stinky fish. And some of these might ring true with you.
Yeah. And I think, judgment doesn't just come from doing something wrong or being bad, but like some people have a negative association with success. Like some people are said, oh, rich people are wankers. And look at that guy and it's Porsche. So we fear, like if that narrative has come down from our family or from our peer group whenever we were younger, sometimes we sabotage our own success because we don't want to be that super wealthy individual with the fancy house and the fancy car, because we think we're going to lose some of our friends. And the reality is we do, as we go through life, as we start to evolve. And it's part parcel of success, unfortunately, that some people are going to, and the people you think really care about you and are your friends are going to surprise you because they're not going to be supportive of what you do, or they're going to be dismissive of your successes. So in some ways I'm fortunate because I grew up in Northern Ireland and had a peer group there, and then I stepped away from it and went to university over here and I stayed over here. When I go back to my friends in Northern Ireland, they try to fit me back into the box that I was in, they were like, Conor does a bit of rowing, likes sport, but I was really quiet at school. I was really heavily bullied for most of my school years. So like I stand on stage and I can speak, and usually, but sometimes when I'm one-on-one or when I'm in a smaller group, I sometimes feel uncomfortable and I'll back away. So when I go back to Northern Ireland, I feel much more comfortable with all of you guys. I can feel that, you know. But when I go back to Northern Ireland and some of my peers, they want to put me back into that tiny box that I used to fit in. So I've expanded through personal development and everything else to be bigger. So I want that for you. And part of it is trying to understand what these areas are. So we want you to write down what your stinky fish is, or you might have more than one.
Yeah.
And when you're something stinky, you want to air it out, right? So you'll notice on the back of all your chairs, some of the people on Zoom said, oh, we've got some flying going on in there as well. So put up some of your stinky fishes on there because we need to air them. So a little fish emoji, your stink. So those in the room, you are like, why is there an annoying piece of tape on the back of my chair? And that was my bright idea at like 6 o'clock this morning. But I want you to take your little piece of tape, take your stinky fish, and I want you to hang it up somewhere in the room, okay? And just be respectful of other people when they're doing this. See, we're the character is stinky fish. But we just want to air them today, okay? And I might feel a little bit uncomfortable putting something that you're afraid of and everything else up on the wall. But it's a very important lesson and transition that we're going to come back to at the end of the day. So I'm going to play some music, and if you can put your stinky fish up on the wall, please.
So no name on it.
No name.
Wherever you guys are comfortable to put your fish up, put them on the pillars. I think it's probably the easiest. Again, just being respectful of everyone's stinky fish. We've all got it.
Some good ones coming up on the feet. Maybe not good enough.
So really
Imposter syndrome. There's somewhere else better equipped to do the task. Maybe you can write it on a piece of paper at home and just stick it on the wall. Just so you can air it out there. We've got them up on our feed here, so that's great as well. All right, next bit. That was a bit of a downer, our fears and anxieties and everything. So now we're going to get into the person on your chest or on your wall, your inner child. So how many of you, whenever you were a kid, when I grow up, I want to be an astronaut, I want to be a doctor, I want to be a firefighter and use the hose all day, right? Whenever you were a kid, you're like, I'm just going to eat ice cream for breakfast and I'm an adult. You have this image that adults have like loads, never like a pound, it was like, wow, a pound of money. Or 10, I got 100 pounds of my own convenient. So, whenever we're young, we have this limitless expression of our hopes and dreams and what we want to do with our life. We don't feel any of that guilt around not doing what we necessarily want to do until, you know, we're sat up drinking until 2:30 in the morning at a conference, and then anything goes. But, you know, part of the reason people drink alcohol is because it lets go of those inhibitions, those mind restrictions that we have that have come from years of experience through school, or again through university, or not university, but our peer groups through those stages of our lives, even our parents. I have great parents, they're not here now, but you know, they supported me in a fantastic way. So I always had a sanctuary at home with all of my many brothers and sisters. So we're going to do a little exercise now called When I Grow Up. Okay? So this is tapping into your inner child. So if you could go back to
On your A3 pages.
on your A3 pages, that's all right. So this will go. You've got your star at the top.
5 ideas.
Yeah, underneath your 5 ideas, we do the When I Grow Up. Okay? So you imagine you're being transported back now with your brain into your 10-year-old body. Okay? And we're trying to think, when you become an adult, 18, 8 years in the future, 2030, what do you want to be whenever you grow up? Okay, so you're 10 years old, but with your adult brain, all possibilities are there. What do you want to do? What do you want your life to be looking like in 2030? So I'm going to give you 3 minutes to do this, and when you're ready,
Okay,
start.
explain the practice story again. Are we like saying when I was a kid, I thought...
No, it's you now,
Yeah.
8 years in the future, but without any like limitations. Just like,
You want to be the president of the UCA, or you want to be...
Alright.
I want to own 10 clinics,
Yeah.
I want to have a massive house, I want to drive a Ferrari, just like unlimited, I want to be flying into space, whatever it is. You just write it down, and it's called a mind dump, so you're just writing down as many things as possible. So, just stupid stuff.
And using that uninhibited, childish kind of anything is possible, ice cream for breakfast, pajama backwards day energy when you're coming up with these.
Same with you guys online. Just write down now on another piece of paper.
Oh, she's doing this.
Hey, actually, my brother's online. He's in Holland and he couldn't get across because of the COVID restrictions. Guys online, tell us a few things that you want to do when you grow up. 8 years from now, what do you want life to look at? Anything goes. You want to live in a different country that has warmer weather. It's very nice today here. Might want to have a bigger family. Want to have a better relationship with somebody.
Travel more,
Travel more.
take more holiday.
Be in the Olympics. Anything goes.
Okay, so you live in the Caribbean for half of the year.
Whoa. I know somebody who does that, Claire. He's a friend of mine. Has a house in the Dominican Republic, so it is definitely possible. There's 6 months there, 6 months here.
Elise actually wants to travel and work with orangutans. Live where the sun shines.
Great.
How are we getting on, guys? All good?
Finishing up then. Right, how many people had good ideas? Good ideas? How many people struggled with it? Found it hard to do? Okay. Any thoughts on why that might be? Okay. Stinky fish. Fish might be one of them, yeah. So sometimes it's hard to get back into that like limitless mindset we had when we were kids. So we're gonna come at it in a different way now. So
I think you're matching that.
mic's that on. Luckily they can hear me now. Amateur. There I go. Now I can hear myself. So we're going to do an exercise now called more of, less of. Okay. So we've just gone 8 years into the future when I grow up. What about right now? So more of, less of. Write it down. So we do more of column and a less of column. And what we want you to do now is take a few minutes to write down what you want more of and less of in those things. So more of might be more free time. Less of might be less stress, less responsibility. Might want more family time. I want more money, more land. More responsibility, more clinics.
More conferences, more knowledge, more learning, more...
And more confidence, more self-love. Especially some of these people who are writing down their stinky fish that they don't feel like they're enough. That they are you want to study you want to study whales as in the country, or you want to study the animal? The book is good, right? All right, so more or less of, we'll give you another couple of minutes just to write that, and then we're going to ask you guys to
Share with us.
Share with us. We're going to put some things up on the board. See what things we get. We're going to hang these up on the wall at the break. Maybe somebody will think of something in the room that you're like, actually, I want more of that too. All right, so who's going to share more of for me? Tell me something you want more of. Purpose.
That's awesome.
Fits really well with what we're doing today. Anything else? Skiing. Charlie?
I was thinking more joy. I haven't had much time this year.
Okay, great.
That's what yesterday, obviously.
Yeah. Get some joy this morning, your breathwork session. Creativity.
Anyone else?
Concentration.
Concentration. Do you think that you are cognitively not able to concentrate, or do you need more focus?
Yeah, pretty focused
Many other people in the room get a bit distracted when it comes to achieving stuff.
Yeah.
Like, get a bit like, oh, there's a new shiny thing over there, or there's a new shiny thing over there. I only did half of that thing. That's a pretty common thing to happen, right? Anything else you want more of? Dreams! Now, dreams as in you want to sleep and have a little cinnamon in your head, or dreams like, oops, you want to be able to spell properly in front of 30 people or whatever?
Well, my sleep is good, so I guess more like good ideas.
Good ideas and goals that are achievable.
You know, yeah.
Okay. I said the difference between a dream and a goal is that a goal has an action plan to achieve the dream, whereas a dream is just...
More goal, dream like goal.
Okay.
No, like, yeah, sure, I wanna live in the mood, but it's not like, you know.
But have the time and space to dream.
Yeah, exactly, yeah, I mean, then you're gonna fill the space, like, you know, like, great.
Great, cool.
Yeah.
Perfect. Anybody else? Music.
So learning to play it, or listening to it, or time to enjoy it, or time playing with friends.
Great, cool. Anything else? Cairo podcasts. As in, you want more of them to exist? You want to listen to more?
I want more to exist.
More to exist. Okay. Well, chiropractors out there, let's get podcasting. A Lions podcast, Michael. That's on the list now.
Yeah, that's what we want.
Another shiny thing that will. Anything else?
More bravery.
Bravery. Good one.
So great this, guys.
It's not a stretch.
That's a stretch. One more stretching.
No, more love.
More love. Okay.
More time.
I was wondering when that one was going to come out.
More
We're all
time.
thinking it, aren't we?
Great. Michael, stop over to you. So less of. You want to very big less. So that's great.
Yeah. Hopefully we've got less paper to fill, so I took up a third of it.
What about less of?
Less conflict.
Amazing.
Very good.
See, mine is less avoidance.
Ah.
Oh, that's very
For you two and everything together.
They did last night as well. Sparks of life.
Anything else you want less of?
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Fear in work, or as in within the profession, or fear within your personal life?
You know, it's the antithesis of love, isn't it? So just general, fear in the media, fear in the population, fear in the general collective consciousness.
Great, yeah.
Michael, you have something?
Less like vagueness and distraction.
Sure.
Focus again.
Procrastination.
Procrastination. Thank God I got to spell that. Anything else?
Just got it in.
Yeah.
Overthinking.
Overthinking, very common one. Great.
Less doing what others expect you to do, like doing more what you want to do. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Is there more that you want to do?
Right on.
Tom?
Mark, I think I've got a good one. Don't sweat the small stuff. So don't worry
Just
about
worry.
the small stuff.
Yeah?
So less regret.
Yeah.
No regrets.
Right on doing what others want as well.
And God knows some stretchy jeans.
Yeah.
Just less judgment.
Less judgment. Judgment, fear, conflict, all these are similar things, Tom.
Bit less chaos and noise, this permanence.
You have 3 kids, maybe that comes in the package. We have 3 kids.
Yeah, no, I'm more talking about social media, news, talking radio shows. It's just too much people's lost opinions.
Yes.
Sorry.
Anything else? Great, alrighty. Well, I think the thing that
Guilt on there.
you want to
Guilt?
get.
Yes, guilt.
That's a good one.
Well, we're going to hang these up in the room. Anybody online? Anything? We got some going up. Free time, less responsibility. Claire? Yeah, responsibility is a big one, isn't it, really?
Can you put worry? Can you put worry up there?
We've got worry.
And it's judgment, but comparison and scarcity.
Like, comparing yourself to others. See, he thought it was going to be less on there, but actually.
That's what we're talking about, yes.
It's funny, isn't it, because we do tend to sometimes focus on the negatives, like whenever it comes to news, negative stories sell papers.
Yeah.
Positive ones are nice, but they actually don't get as much clicking as like people having a terrible tragedy happening. So that's great. So we're going to hang these up and refer back to them as we go through the day. One thing that would come, especially with the more of, the thing that comes out with that is that a lot of these things come down to having freedom and having time and having the ability not to worry about, you know, bringing in the money and spending time with doing things that we like to do. So that sort of segues nicely into our next guest, who we all introduced yesterday, Tom. And Naomi and I had a great chat last night about, you know, how her financial advisor had revolutionized her sort of thought process when it came to, you know, what they need to retire, what they need to put away now, how they need to plan, and what a good investment something like a, you know, a pension was, and if you start paying earlier into that, how it pays dividends later on. And then, I don't mind me saying, Tom was like, this is something I'm so grateful you guys are putting on, because I haven't thought about it. I know I need to think about it. There's some neuron in here that keeps on saying, you need to sort that out, you need to sort that out. He couldn't name what part of the brain the neuron was in, but he, you know, so I think it's something that we very commonly encounter,
Yeah.
and part of the reason why, you know, we got so much out of work with Tom and everything else. That's why we're on you all today. So hopefully he can create more of these in your life and less of those. I don't think you can work on the conflict within chiropractic so much, but you know, we'll one mission at a time.
Yeah, exactly.
So without further ado, we're going to invite him up onto stage.
So session 2 really is going to be focused around using the people in the room. And Conor and I kind of alluded to this slightly earlier on, is everyone has a different skill set and everyone brings a different viewpoint to certain topics and things that we experience in life and practice and as individuals. So what we really want to try and encourage is to utilize the people at your table, in your group, or in the room especially as well, to try and help us all kind of reach some common understandings and common goals and some takeaways as well. So we're going to go through three sessions of the same exercise, and each session is going to be posed around a topic or a question as well. We're going to break it down into 1, 2, table, all. Okay, so 1 is on your own, 2 is in pairs, table, no surprises with that one comes, and then all is we're going to use the room as well. Okay, so the more you give into yourself, the more you give into your pair, the more you give into your table, and the more you contribute to the room, collectively means that we all get more out of it. Okay, is that fair? Yeah? If I happen to do that, awesome. So when Conor and I were speaking about this exercise, we really wanted to try and touch on some of the things that we certainly kind of often have conversations about, but also things that we thought the group would kind of commonly experience. So our first question and our first topic we're going to be covering is what you learned on Saturday. Okay, so think back to yesterday, think back to the golden nuggets, the aha moments, things that scared you shitless, you know, the bits and pieces that you're like, that was awesome, I'm really going to lock that down. So firstly, you're going to have a minute on your own to just rattle off or write down either one big thing or a couple of little things. So things that you learned from Saturday. Okay, your minute starts now.
We all had different experiences yesterday. We all saw different speakers, and yeah, so there might be different take-homes for each of you, and therefore, whenever you get together as a group, we can maybe share things that people go, oh, that's cool. And then let's go back and watch that webinar that I made, so that recorded version of the talk.
So this minute is just a bit of self-reflection. Spend some time in your own head, just going through your own things. Be selfish with this time, it's all for you, so really zone in on it. Right, another 15 seconds, guys. just turn to your partner, someone at your table. If there's a table of 5, just make sure you're finding someone to work with. And what you're going to do is just spend 2 minutes, so 2 minutes each, so 4 minutes in total, just going through your shares of what you took home from yesterday and just seeing whether they're common, you take home something different, you on the same page with your golden nuggets. Okay, so it's just an opportunity for you to think about maybe some common interests or common things that come away, or yeah, I actually forgot about that. Okay, so 4 minutes, please, guys.
It's currently in Epsom salts. That's the way to be cool with Epsom salts. Of course, anybody online didn't see any of the speakers yesterday. One of your best, one of your best on YouTube or sort of online format, so you can catch up after the event, go back and watch it all. So it'll be available as soon as we're able to get it to Okay, guys, you can all just come back in, please. Thank you. Alright. So did anyone find that interesting? Yeah, was there a pair in particular where you guys have completely different takeaways? Yeah, awesome, that's exactly what we're after. So we're just going to repeat that process now, but we're going to leverage the table. Okay, so some of you have probably done this already, so we won't give you as long for this because it feels like the conversations are all be quite kind of inclusive. So again, maybe just another 1 or 2 minutes, maybe swap seats, sit on the other side of the table, go and rub shoulders with someone different. Just again, we're trying to leverage that experience that might be at your table. And yeah, again, so just another 3 or 4 minutes each, and then just same discussion, same things that you took away on Saturday, but now just a different perspective from someone else at the table as well. Okay. 1 minute.
So guys, we're all going to come back together now. And this is for the ready fun part where we start using the wall. So now we're going to get the whole room's feedback, so we can learn not only from different tables, but from different individuals as well. So, who has something that they learned from yesterday that they'd be happy to share?
We're on each table, so.
Yeah, if he's one person from each table, come on.
Oh, okay, sorry. I love the Donna Francis, the neck adjustment and in the testing, to
Amazing.
evaluate which segment you should adjust.
Fantastic, yeah.
And I love the sports car evaluation. That was great, and Monica's talk.
Amazing. I need to give you a bit to wrap that all down. Did anyone else have that as a take home? Did anyone particularly enjoy Donna Francis or Sean Drake's assessment? Amazing. Did anyone have a different one? Spontaneous? Okay, we're going to be going wrong. Okay, so we C-spine adjusting.
And the camaraderie, reaching up again and getting to know each other. And people.
And this table, or your table from the group discussion.
Okay. This is not really people out of the blue. The service release that I was really good. I've been doing a lot harder in the past, and now looking at it more of a connected tissue way, more of it in a brain way. I've got a better understanding of why I'm doing what I'm doing. So my technique is definitely changing to that.
Cool. Awesome. So you can go on Monday.
Yeah.
Nice one.
A lot.
Carly?
I have really enjoyed my weekends, and I've enjoyed the camaraderie as well. I'm a little bit biased, but I love Naomi still, because I'm very inspired.
I love Naomi still.
And you probably saw the camera woman. And I really enjoyed time spent with the family as well. Because it made me think, actually, I definitely need to think about a couple of things in this language also. So my plan is to come to an outcome webinar for that. I presented it in a really nice way today.
You did?
Yeah.
Right.
It was fun.
Awesome.
Alrighty. Who wants to go at this table?
No eye contact made at all.
I especially like the workshop on SAP from Conor, learning a bit more about what it's actually about, what the fundamentals are behind it, and learning this.
Cool. Amazing.
Alright, one more table left. You guys?
Passing the back.
Do you pass the ball? You get the ball.
I enjoyed the conference yesterday very much. It's actually my first chiropractic conference I've attended. I really enjoyed the vitamin C talk.
Yeah.
It was very interesting, and then also the cerebellum stuff with dyslexia and everything. So yeah, very interesting.
Awesome. Well, that's something to that. So hopefully what that kind of brings to life is that even though we were all at the same conference, we all have completely different takeaways. And I suppose that's the beauty about coming to an event as opposed to sitting in your pants at home on another webinar or something along those lines, is that you get to share that experience and you can kind of take away stuff. And you start with something nice and light and easy, we're going to move into a bit more kind of technical stuff now moving forward. So we're going to touch on kind of two challenges that Conor and I have thought about. First, for chiropractors, especially at the moment. And the first one is new client sources. I think it's a big problem that chiropractors face in practice. It's often a hot topic on coaching groups and coaching calls. It's how do we get more new patients, especially in the post-COVID world. You know, are we doing anything spinal screenings or dinner with the docs or lunch and learns, or are we having patient appreciation days and things like that. So again, we're going to go through the exact same process. You're going to start on your own. And so the question is, I suppose, is what are the challenges with and where you see some opportunities to attract new patients into your practice. I'm going to give you a minute on your own first. We're going to go into 2 minutes of your pair, and then 3 or 4 minutes at the table, and we'll come back together to see if we all can learn from each other in the room don't think, oh, that's a fantastic way that I can maybe get some more patients. Okay.
And I suppose the focus of this one is COVID has changed the culture around health to a degree somewhat. There's a different sort of health awareness within the general public, but also chiropractors have been somewhat limited. Like, I give talks, but I haven't been able to give talks as I would normally do. So I normally go into those businesses I talked about at the start, or community groups, I do different talks. So that's why I became busy in practice. London people who were here yesterday. Amy Free said, if you don't follow her on Instagram, has a fantastic pediatric Instagram. And I had a coaching call with her, and I was like, I'm the guy who does talks. Like, I don't get a lot of new clients from Instagram. She has a 6-week waiting list because she puts out content about pregnancy and pediatrics, which is what her passion is. So, as things start to open up, we're going to do our seminar here this weekend. What are you going to target to help grow your practice if you need to grow your practice, or to attract your ideal clients? Like, maybe you want to work more with pediatrics and babies, but how do you market towards that? I want you to start thinking about that, and hopefully as you break into your pairs or into your table, you're going to gain some new ideas from the people on the table with you.
Cool. Right, so we should be finishing up that minute on our own. So if again you want to just turn to your partner, just find maybe someone different to what you did the last exercise with as well. And just spend 2 minutes discussing amongst your pair on what Conor just mentioned there.
Okay guys, I see you're all sharing as a table, which is great. Go in, we're going to give you another 2 minutes.
Alright guys, just going to finish up these.
You guys online, make sure you're also writing down some things at home about how you're going to market in the next 6 months to a year, what opportunities are going to be on the horizon, for you guys to market in a way we haven't been able to for the last 18 months. What do you need to start planning now, putting energy into? You need to start looking for opportunities to speak to people in public. What are other opportunities you can be putting into action now, like social media marketing? You need to learn about that. Maybe your marketing that you're doing currently is needing the results. Lots of different ways. different people nowadays. So what are you going to focus on for the next 18 months? One more minute to go. Okay, we finished up conversation. And the difference between the last one and this one, like what you learn is the icebreaker for this, okay? Because it's all very different person to person. But we actually probably have some real experts in the room in certain areas of marketing. So I give talks, is what I do. So I teach people how to give talks in companies and in the population. And one of the things that made me stand out in the health of the company I work for is that whenever we opened the conservative practice, we had over 100 patients, 103 patients waiting before we opened the door. And we sold vouchers at £30 per voucher, so we had £3 grand of income before we even opened the door of the clinic. And then a lot of clinics actually operate at a loss, whenever the chiropractor pays himself, etc., for up to a year or more for some people. But we managed to get the clinic profitable within 3 months. So we did that by getting out into the community and various different streams of new patients. So, like I say, some of you are going to be at that stage. Maybe students in the room are thinking, like, when I go into practice, how am I going to build my client base? Or do you want to specialize in doing sports and seeing athletes, or want to see babies and pediatrics? So there's ways and means of doing that niche that looks different from a marketing point of view. So yeah, and then I just want to touch a little bit on the old stinky fishes on the wall, because we, at the start of the day, wanted to try and get into our childlike state. And so whenever we observe children in their natural environment, they don't feel self-conscious. They don't worry that someone's talking about them. They express themselves very freely. If you ask an opinion of a child at that age, they're going to freely give it to you. If you go into a primary school, everyone's got their hand up, everybody's singing, everybody's drawing. So it's these sort of limiting beliefs around our self-worth, the importance of what we have to share. And like I say, I would consider everybody in here to be an expert in some aspect of what we're talking about, because we're all chiropractors, we all have to market ourselves, and we all have to do things. So if you feel shy about speaking up in public, try being a dyslexic kid who used to stutter over his own words and was put at a table with people who were, like I say, mentally disabled, and that's what I had to overcome. But it is, if I can do it, I know all of you can. So if you're feeling a little bit self-conscious about sharing, please push yourself and feel free to share. This is a very safe environment, and I want to hear what you have to say. So, with that in mind, we'll start over at this table again and talk about some of the conversations. And if there is a topic that we want to learn a little bit more about, like speaking in public, we're happy to break it out up here. We can get suggestions from the group of what things that have worked well. So we'll pop over to this table first. Eric wants to go. I can see it in his face.
Yeah, well, some of the challenges we said were things that you can't do anymore. So corporate companies are not very happy to maybe bring you back into the office, or their staff aren't back in the office. So shuttle things like that, market screenings, those things are going away. And then other ways of getting new patients back in. We spoke about networking, which was one of the big things. So that might be increasing a lot more nowadays. So using social media as well. Becoming more competent at that.
Great. So there's a challenge there. So not being able to go into companies and give talks because people are working from home and our companies aren't happy for people to come in externally with COVID restrictions and things. So what's the solution to that?
Virtual. Yeah.
Yeah. So we can see people are happy to consume content virtually. That's what happened. Zoom stock prices went through the roof, along with Amazon and everything else, because of utilization. So I'm in a comfortable place in clinic where I'm near capacity, but I gave a webinar because a company we've gone into asked for one. So I'm just going to give you content now for a webinar that I found useful. Is that okay? Great. So HR approached me, but you could approach someone in HR or a company. So the best way to get into a company, it's not easy, but the best way is to use your client base. If you have somebody who works for a company and you're like, hey, are you finding that more people are working at home? Does that mean that they're having more back or neck pain? Yes or no? Everybody, how many of you saw mechanical back or neck pain in the last year and a half? Through the roof, right? Everyone's working at home. People are working on like their ironing boards or their coffee table or in bed. They don't have their ergonomic chairs anymore, and so they had some back and neck pain as a result. So that's a great hook. So you have to have a hook in order to get in. When I was doing health talks to some of those big companies in the past, I had 3 different topics that I said that I built webinars around. So managing stress. Stress is a good one. How many people have had more stress in the last year and a half? 2 hands up, like, more stress, right? So working at home with kids, trying to do the same amount of work, but also having to homeschool them and get them out of bed and everything else. Very stressful for a lot of parents. Not being able to go out and exercise, not being able to hug people. Like I talk about, how many of you have heard the 5 love languages? Yeah, you know those. So if somebody's primary love language is physical touch, and they've been robbed of that in the last year, how privileged are we as their chiropractors to be putting hands on them and effectively giving them love in the way that they receive it optimally? So we're in a very privileged space with that, but people are stressed from the situation, worry about the media hyping up COVID and stress of work. So there's a lot of this type of thing. So a good topic would be stress. Another one is home ergonomics. So how to set up your desk at home, working from home, reduce back and neck pain from working from home. And the thing is, they can record these webinars and send it out to the company, and as long as you do it in the right way, then it could almost be like an evergreen source of the client referrals for you. And then another thing which would be useful based upon Simon Billings' talks and things like that is immunity. So again, we don't want to ever jar into what the sort of belief systems of these people are, but whether they get vaccinated or not vaccinated, ultimately, if we can get them to understand that a vaccine, if they have it, only gives them a head start in the fight against the virus, they still need to have a fully functioning immune system. People who have been vaccinated are still getting COVID, so they still need to have an immune system. So how do you build a healthy immune system? Well, moving is one thing we're not doing a lot of. Nutrition is another thing that we can help improve. Vitamin D, as we've learned this weekend, is really important. So if people are able to understand that, and you can say, listen, the thing with any of these is to have a bridge where you can close, where you can say, so the home economics, I talk about the pandemic that exists and the results of the environment. I always said health is an expression of your environment, okay? And you use analogies that they understand. So I say, it's coming up to Christmas. When it comes to Christmas, what happens? We eat all the cake and all the food, what happens? Start to run a few pounds. And then January hits, new year, new me. I start to change my environment, eat different foods, go to the gym, and what happens? The expression of my health changes. So if you're sat at a desk, 8 hours a day, not moving because you have to do all your meetings on Zoom, you're going to train your spine to look like a chair. So in order to change your environment and change the expression of the health of your spine and nervous system, that's where seeing a chiropractor is really important. We're going to offer for you today. You can come and see us. It's normally £150. You can get us today for whatever price you want to put it in, but hopefully a price where they go, well, that seems like a really good deal. And then, so I gave a talk to about 20 people. Took me 15 minutes talking about home economics. Yeah, bakery is a hard bridge to chiropractic, but home ergonomics. And got 5 new clients from it. And then they put it up on their website, and then other people have come in off the back watching the webinar on demand. So super easy, did it from the comfort of my own home, didn't have to go into the clinic, didn't have to bring any flip charts or pens or anything like that, or put up a PowerPoint, just did it all on my computer and got some new clients. So it is possible with that challenge to find a solution. So any other new ideas or anything else that has been useful on this deal? What are you guys talking about? Anything come up during the marketing side of things?
So in marketing, they talk a lot about your USP, your unique selling point. And I've been trying to think about what I want my USP to be. And actually, really, I'd like to sort of open up to know what their USP is, or if there's what their other ones. I try to be as interpersonal to my clients as possible, and be really open and honest, and that's what I target, but it's definitely not as coherent and as focused as I think it could be.
Okay.
Cool.
USPs, anybody? Yeah.
I have quite a lot of experience in marketing. I just wanted to kind of say the most important thing is really having everything that you do and say and present like grounded in your values. So like as you as an individual person, so when someone walks into your practice that's reflected in what everything's made of, what you're cleaning with, I have a solid oak real floor. People walk in and go, oh, I love this, and they don't even know why, because they're really drawn to it. And the images and the language I put on my website will also repel somebody who isn't a value match for me. And so I think, to speak to what you were saying about USP and Conor with the webinars, that you take that idea and then you go, you might not want to talk about stress or immunity, like immunity wouldn't match the kind of person or the conversation I'm used to having. But it's such a wonderful thing of I can go to business and talk to them about just my own version of whatever one of those 3 are. And then that does make you unique. So one of the things I did was start holding retreats. I like particularly middle-aged women going into burnout, finally want some time for themselves, they're the linchpin of their families, they're great practice builders, you get their partner and kids and stuff. And I just go on and start talking about burnout, and really want to be more connected, and to a mechanically minded athlete, they'll be like, oh, I don't know what that's about. But it really brings in my person, so then you figure out who you want to talk to, and it's like you said with the theme summer, you just put out you and your stuff, and you will attract that person. And then there is less compromising yourself around your client, especially when you're really, really doing it in every area. So that's been my method of learning, starting from scratch.
Great. Useful?
Yeah, super useful.
Anybody else on USP in practice?
No.
And I think one of the big USPs of us as a profession, as I was conversation with the students, is the adjustment. I think what I certainly got impressed upon me today, or this yesterday, was the fact that, you've got some real top level adjusters whose level of knowledge and assessment for correction of different things that I never learned out of college. So we're talking about Sean Drake doing examination or protocols that are not based upon pain-based orthopedic examinations, but rather functional improvements in rotation or instability. So things I didn't necessarily learn at college, but actually would be really useful and applicable to many different people. But if we can demonstrate what we do and then show that chiropractic adjustment versus, somebody who has the choice of going to see a physio or a masseuse or going to have acupuncture, by demonstrating the value of a chiropractic adjustment and chiropractic and as a profession is something that we can really push. And not to say that massage and acupuncture and everything else isn't very valuable, and if you do that in practice, it's great. But I think as a profession, our USP should still be being top level chiropractor assessors and adjusters.
Yeah, Mark's got a question.
Just going back to Naomi's thing with the USP, I think I'm generally bad at soul searching and stuff. Not great at finding these things out, but often when the longer you work, you see what your one-to-one interactions gravitate towards to. Like you will attract certain crowd during the next hour because it's out there, but like also it happens passively. Like some people don't stick, and the people who stick to see a commonality. Like what you constantly talk about, they didn't have to happen, is it that, and that's USP. Like it kind of, even if you don't know it, it comes out by itself. Like if you're very fresh to it, just trust the process. Or get what that's also achieved.
So Seth Godin, worldwide marketing extraordinaire, has written a book this year called This Is Marketing. Have you read it? And it's all about, it's great, it's all values based, and it's about marketing to your smallest viable markets. So that if you're a piano teacher, you don't just want to teach anyone the piano, like you're the piano teacher for the person that wants to do this. So it's a really good book. And that will answer loads of questions.
It wasn't frantically writing it down, right?
He's got a great weekly podcast.
Yeah.
Cool. What's it called? Do you know what it's called?
It's called Akimbo, A-K-I-M-B-O. What's that?
Kimbo podcast. Something to check out. Kimbo. Cool. Right.
You guys, anything come up from a marketing point of view? USP aspects? Authenticity.
I guess you could maybe add, you're doing more of active care as well, like objective results for patients like Joe Tizzy. There's a lot of objective testing and shares that with the GPs and the hospitals, sharing it with the type of audience as well. It's amazing how inspiring to come and see.
Yeah, 100%. Great, and touching on that, inter-professional collaboration. So, there's like work in Surbiton, and there's a gym over in near Barnes that I've referred probably 30 patients to go drive over half an hour to come and see me, but for whatever reason, the owner of the gym just loves what I do. And if you can build a relationship like that, as Sean said yesterday, get somebody into the practice and coach. If you want to work with GPs, then work with GPs. I gave a webinar to a chiropractic group up in the Midlands, and we're talking about giving talks. And I asked them what would be one of the most scariest places you could give a talk, and they said it was in an NHS setting. And I literally had, about 3 slides later, a picture of me in our local NHS practice. And when I put up a photograph, I realized that I'd done that talk in 2017, and 3 of the people in the audience had seen a doctor and a nurse had seen me over 100 times. They are, like I say, in the paradigm that we think is working against us when it comes to understanding health, but actually those people, their community based, so they see people in the community regularly. That was the doctor talking about. You see people in the community
lost their ability to take care of themselves. They need some form of intervention from you guys. So you want to start training your balance and your posture when you get to 79, or do you want to try and do it at the age you're at now? And so that was the thing that resonated with them when they said, and you probably signed up 12 of those people, but some of them stick. Like 9 and 7, those are the people who you want to try and encourage them to refer their friends and family into you. And the way to do that is not to necessarily ask for a referral, but make it very easy for people to refer to you. When I teach people about the hierarchy of new clients, there's a few things. So prior education about what we do, how much they pay for the coming in about coming in a group on, they don't have a high value for what we do, they're paying for a voucher. And then the level of trust that you can elicit, which is your expertise, your communication skills. So those 3 things for me are big factors of what helps somebody say yes to chiropractic care at the end of the report findings. Because if he does say yes. So a good level of education, you can do that by reaching out via social media, being known for taking care of a certain group of people within the population, so you can associate it with that group. Or by giving a talk where you can educate people to a certain degree before they come and see you. Again, that's going to attract certain people to you and detract people away from you as well. So these are all ways of trying to improve your conversion and hopefully retention. I use that word to say that somebody follows a course of care, because a lot of people will start the course of care but won't necessarily finish that course of care. So we're trying to get better outcomes for these clients.
Cool.
Any other points on marketing or?
Oh,
you might as well, sure.
I don't know if anyone knows Australian guy Angus Pike.
Yes.
So Angus has got a free thing coming out now again, where he runs a 5-day social media sort of thing. I think it's going off on the 23rd.
Cool.
That he's starting on. I did it last year, and it was really, really good.
Okay.
Yeah, and I got quite a bit out of it, so that's just coming out now, so give it a whirl.
Valuable piece of information from the room. Excellent. Great. Right. So guys, we are going to move on to the next little topic then. So apart from marketing and new patient generation, I'm sure we'll all agree that one of the big challenges that we have as chiropractors, and perhaps the one we don't spend a lot of time looking at, is retention. So how do we look after the people that we've already got in the building as opposed to just focusing on getting more people into the building? So what we're going to do is we'll try and just speed through this because I think we're a little bit behind time today. So just in your table straight away, we're going to just spend 3 or 4 minutes talking about some of the things that you do in your practice that you think work really well to help improve your retention, help improve your communication, and ultimately improve your service. Okay, so we'll give you guys 4 or 5 minutes just to go through this as a table, please, and we'll come together as a group again, okay?
Claire, we're just getting the name of the book for you. You guys who are online, just making sure it's in frame. Let us know what your thoughts are. How do you improve your retention? Well, improve the service. Like, what do you do? Is it first just phone calls? Is it, you know, giving them a welcome pack? Is it sending them an email with different exercises on it? You know, let us know what you guys do that works really well in your practice. We'd love to hear from you.
Ready, guys?
So watching online is saying that people like when he sends welcome cards, giving them an exercise when they start, and trying to get them in the mindset of taking control of their own health. So how many of you send welcome cards, first adjustment phone calls, emails, that type of thing? How many of you used to do that and then kind of it's too much effort and so that's me, by the way. Yeah. Certainly areas where I could improve my service and habits that are good to get into. And then Claire said about working towards a membership practice for people who want regular chiropractic as part of their elevating their health and membership to coaching on her website. How many of you are doing membership practices at the minute? Yeah, that's sort of a new style of ongoing care for people who want to do some form of, like I said, monthly adjustment or twice monthly adjustment or whatever it is. But one of the things that it takes out of the equation is having to do the selling every single time. So people, whenever they have a conversation about money or whenever they use up a package, if you sell packages,
Then you have to have another conversation about, do I buy another 12 or whatever your pack is, or do I continue? Whereas a membership is a bit like a gym membership, just allows that, there's no particular end to it unless they want to stop, but it just means that it automatically tops up every month. So, service enhancers. Some experienced chiropractors over here, so I'll start with them. What do you guys do to up the service of practice?
We were talking about different things. From the core values of the practice is that we were talking about that like Naomi said, you work from the values and about integrity. That one of the biggest things that I've heard patients say is that I recommend people to you because I know you will tell me if you've gone through. And that sounds like a reverse thing, but that's trust. That we have a lot of fun in the clinic. And then Monica talked about this amazing thing you do in your practice, whereby you celebrate patients with birthdays with a little birthday cake and a sing song. And then you also have you want to equity. So there for patients you want to kind of say, well, we just want to shine a light on you and appreciate you. You give them randomly, some patients, a little gift. How often? Is it once a week?
And so we choose, as a Friday job, it's a fun Friday job, so we'll choose somebody who needs an uplift, and it may be like somebody who who's had a bit of a downtime, and it could also be could be a high spend, somebody who spent a lot of money, somebody who's done a lot of referrals, we just choose probably no more than 5 people per week, but it's usually 5 people per week. And we've got patients who've got Etsy accounts that we then buy from them. So it's kind of keeping
the value almost, that's amazing. Yeah. It's actually a really good idea. Patient appreciation, I think, is something, almost like so underutilized. And we have Conor and I have a common friend who's actually my cat today, Sandy, and I think when I spoke to him last, he said one of the things he does for patient appreciation is at his progress reviews, he puts a scratch card in that person's progress reports. He's like, if you go and win $1 million, that's fantastic, because you're going to have an amazing gym, but you're also going to see you it's more. So something as simple as that, it's a £1 scratch card. If you do that for 4 or 5 progress reviews a week, that's your coffee. That's a cup of coffee you've spent. And, that's such a small gesture, but, I think shows that level of care and appreciation for that person. So something really simple, really easy. So a lot of these ideas are not massive, huge things. You don't have to pivot your practice to a membership practice tomorrow. It could just be a birthday card, or there's one of your patients an artist. Get them to hang some art on the wall that you could sell for them, or something like that. Little things. Cool. Next table, Conor, let's go.
Okay.
We were talking about away from the fear of rejection. And instead of looking at it as a rejection, one person might say, no, I want to get into a big game, or whatever. The mindset more being to be able to offer them what you have. Because a lot of patients won't realize, they'll come in with back pain, but they won't realize that you have the maintenance of it, that you can offer to them. And it's not about them saying yes or no to things, it's about going, I can offer you this, but I can also offer you that, and being able to show them everything that's there. It's almost doing a disservice not to show them all the things that you have and can offer them. And then it's up to them to be able to decide.
Amazing. Yeah, perfect.
You guys realize that the photographer we had yesterday, which is my patient, the guy who's doing some of the AV patient, as his my patients come along, because the guy in the wheelchair has motor neuron disease, so I went in and come and see Donald, because they knew about Donnie Weir. So that's how I operate. This is probably the first year we haven't had one of my patients on stage giving a talk, because again, there's so many interests. We get so much benefit from the people we lay our hands on, like people from all over the world, all different backgrounds, experts in their field. We can learn so much from the people. I certainly do. So, things like that, I think, with regard supporting them in their venture, really builds the community around the clinic. I think for me, that's one of the big things when it comes to service and attention and giving back. So,
Stable, anything from you guys?
Yeah, so I guess, in rapport, as long as you get into good rapport, I guess, even if they don't stick around for maintenance on that day, as long as you're playing a long game, maybe next time they get flowers for you, 2 years later, they'll come back and see you, and then that might be the time when I can pick it up again. I want to make sure I keep this a very good time. Yeah, I'll try and keep that in the back of my mind.
Even with that, sometimes it's like,
Yeah.
a lot of people won't necessarily express the fact that they're really struggling financially or that they have other issues going on with their health that they need to prioritize. So it's really important for that. With that, Johnny, or probably?
I think having it into this, I just got social proof and press, so doing things so that I don't know if this is the wrong word, but in terms of
Stable? Lakers.
Yes, a few, well, actually, I think it's all about the community. There are a couple of things very briefly before I come to what you do. I live in a village, it's a small place, but it's a huge community, and it's not very expensive to sponsor the football club, girls club, squash club. It's really inexpensive, and you get a free membership on top. It's a no-brainer, very small place. I love walking in the outdoors. I might as well tag along some other people. So I started a walking community, and for example, next Sunday is Halloween, and there will be 17 or 18 people there. I do a treasure hunt, so I go early in the morning in the forest, hide a treasure thing. That's awesome. And then I laminate it back, give it to the kids, and then you go and find it. Everybody loves it, parents love it, and all I need to say beforehand, maybe I kind of know that I'm the local chiropractor, but all you need to say is, I welcome everybody on top from Dietary Chiropractic, and just mentioning that word and nothing else about chiropractic. And so many people will come and try to steal your knowledge with that niggle in their shoulder, whatever. And after, we don't mind talking about it, I don't mind, we're all power weeks, and after 2 minutes, they will come and see you. And some other few things that I do at the beginning of the talk is I tell the kids, oh, by the way, no phone. If I see a phone, I'll take it and you won't get it back. Parents love that because they will listen to me, they won't listen to their parents. We do often litter picking, also kids love it, giving these values of looking after the planet. And always a health tip at the end as well. Yeah, I think that's it. And it's fun. I really don't see that as work. I love it. So it'll be good fun next Sunday.
Cool. That's a good idea. That's a good idea. And lastly, the stable, anything to add?
Just an interesting conversation, but it's kind of privy to some of the stuff you guys are talking about.
This is not what we actually talked about on the table. We talked about something very different, but nevertheless, I think we're all talking in here about the additions, all the nice little tweaks, the little quirky things that we can do and give an additional service. But what we haven't talked about in here is the essential things which a lot of practice owners put off doing because it's a long, arduous job to put up, and to be fair, we get distracted by other things. But the packs that we have, that you should be setting up for your ICs, there should be another additional sheet of information for your report findings, for your reassessments, should all be something that every practice has. And it should be, because we all sit and look at retention, oh, we just don't get it, we don't have the education, they don't know what we know, and then we try on each session to force our information on them. They've only got a certain amount of actual attention and interest in you on those sessions. So they need snippets of information that is fed to them through pieces of paper that they can take home during their practice member journey, during their health journey with you. And it needs to be personalised. So if you are doing a reassessment, give them a sheet. Joe's at half of me when you guys are our practice design boards. They should be having sheets that give them their health stats, that are showing them. So when they get home, and when they talk to their partner, and they say, oh, well, what happened at the chiropractor today? It's not just relying on them giving their opinion. They should be something to show them and hold. So whether that is scans, SMG readings, whether it's just a simple 2 scales and a balance reading, there needs to be something that's transferable home for them to know and understand what they're doing more, and give good enough evidence for them and their family to carry on going if that is the issue. So that's the big one, I think.
Awesome.
Yeah, really super helpful.
Right. So I think lots of stuff that we can all learn, and as Tom said, you know, a few bits and pieces you can bolt on and add on and some stuff that you can do that's fun. And I think people are going to be Googling, where is Bittenden and Kent, so I can go for Tom's Halloween walk next week Sunday. You might have to get a little goodie bag. But, yeah, so lots of like really easy things. And one of the things Conor and I spoke about when we were coming up with this exercise was, if you haven't heard about it, go and Google it. It's called 15%. So oftentimes when we focus on ideas, we think like, what are the big things we can do? Like, what are the far-reaching things that we can change? And that stuff's uber important, don't get me wrong, like having lofty, ambitious goals is really, really critical. But sometimes it's just the next 15%. So what's not going to take too much more time, too much more money, or too much more effort that you can do and change? Because momentum builds momentum, right? Yeah, so something as simple as tonight sitting on Canva and designing, you know, these cards that we had printed out. You know, Conor's obviously the artistic one between us, but bro, how long did this take you?
You say autistic or?
Yeah, this 20 minutes?
Yeah, probably,
Yeah. Less than 20 minutes, sit into the printer, it arrives the next morning, have a box of these in your practice, hand you one on. So that's taken you less time than it was to watch an episode of Married at First Sight. You've suddenly got a resource that you can use to improve your service, improve your retention, build on your USP and your practice values. So it doesn't have to be something big, it can be something that is only going to take 15% more energy. Does that make sense? Yeah, cool.
If you haven't noticed, we like merchandise. We like to put our brand on things. But these little lion ones, there's a website called Awesome Merchandise, and 100 business cards cost $5 on there. And they literally make them up and do it for you. Like, we wanted to give you guys some inspirational quotes that you can stick in your wallet, so that, you know, we're working now towards making those goals for 2022 and 2030. So we want you, when you open up your wallet and take out your card to buy your shopping, to see a little blank space there and remember this day, and remember these thoughts you had and the state you were in. But you can do that for your patients, you know, write health quotes on there, and things like that, and they can keep that even as your appointment times on the other side or whatever it is, just something for them to keep in your mind. I mean, Naomi, whenever she gave her webinar, was talking about the email list she developed, and she just wrote a weekly email, and initially she sort of thought, I'll write stuff about health, but then the one she got like the most hits on was like the worst day of your life or something like that.
It's the personal stuff.
The personal stuff.
Connected. I go back to the loads of my clients and I'm like, pretend you didn't see me half naked this morning. And it's different, but it's really good.
Yeah. And again, I think, sorry, just to jump in, like a really another good idea from another kind of Lions favorite of ours, Kelly Jane, is she has a lending library in her practice. There are books and topics that she really likes and really enjoys. Patients can come in, take a book, they sign a little, £10, next to their name, just so they've taken the book. If they keep it for 6 months or a year, that as long as they bring it back. I think that's just a way to, again, build on your values as a clinic and what you're trying to educate people. So rather than having, a men's health magazine on your coffee table in your practice, have a lending library. Let your patients consume the stuff that you like to consume as well. And that's only going to strengthen that, your vibe attracts your tribe kind of sentiment. So, cool. Yes, Michael.
The other thing, for the value thing, is start caring for their families. Like, even if you don't feed them, but they talk to you about their kids and if they're struggling, they're like, I bought this for your kid.
Yeah.
And they can take it home and they'll build upon that eventually they come in.
Yeah. Huge. All right.
Cool. Right.
So who found that helpful, guys? Yes. Awesome.
Amazing.
Fantastic.
We're going to move on.
All right.
So, the next little bit, you're going to flip over here a
Read page
that you've been working on. All right. So the next exercise is called Ladder from 2030. So again, whenever you're talking about goal setting and talking, like I've been to these talks with these big quote unquote gurus, Tony Robbins and things, and one of the things they talk about is when you are writing goals down, you should write them in present tense. And I've done a lot of research on goal setting, from 5-year plans to people who go and have legacy goals, goals that they have for beyond their lifetime, for their grandkids or their great grandkids, or what their legacy for the world is. So you can really take this to the next level. But in 2020, I looked back at the last decade and thought, well, what have I learned? What's happened to me? Where have I come in all that time? What were the bad things that I had to overcome? What were the really high things that I achieved along the way? And one of the things I wish I could go back and tell myself 10 years ago that, I invested in Bitcoin. So now we want to try and project yourself into your shoes in 2030. And you're going to imagine that it's 2030 and you're writing yourself a letter. So the letter is written in present tense because we're writing it in 2030 in your mind. And we want to basically write a letter to you in the past. Now, this letter, should include what does life look like in 2030. So what are you doing and how is your family? What is your family up to? What does your family and friends look like? Kids, or are you going on skiing holidays with all your friends? What does work look like? What accomplishments have you made in the next 8 years? What have you got planned? Are you going to qualify for university? Are you going to start your first practice? Are you going to get married? Start a family? What accomplishments have you achieved, or would you like to have achieved by that? But you're writing in present tense, don't forget. What challenges have you had to overcome? And how did you overcome them? And what impact has those accomplishments had on you, your family, your peer group? Have you been successful in business? What has that allowed you to do? Have you been able to do some of those things you haven't been able to do, like travel the world? Have you seen the pyramids finally? Have you swam with dolphins? Whatever it is that's in that childlike wish list that you wrote up earlier, what do you want to try and achieve in the next 8 years? And in order to achieve those things, what do you need to focus on? So now that's the bit of yourself where you're like, Conor, you need to focus on putting all of your energy into the Lions. Because the Lions is going to be a worldwide event with 1,000 people coming to it from all over the world. You're going to be doing a mission trip every year to help the children in Africa. You're going to have a chiropractic Lions rugby team versus the rest of the world rugby team, and you and Mike are going to have to fight each other on a rugby field. Whatever it is, have fun with it. We're going to give you we're going to give you 8 minutes to write this out. So dear Conor, it's 2030. Your life is looking great, and then you had these challenges along the way, but you overcame them in this hobby. Those accomplishments that you've achieved have allowed you to attain this in your life. You really must focus on learning about cryptocurrency, giving more money to Tom to invest properly rather than you investing it all. So I'm gonna see what music you want to put on. I'm gonna put it on. Don't forget to try and forecast those challenges that might occur. Some of them aren't going to be, nobody could have foresaw COVID. Nothing like that's ever happened in our lifetime prior to 2020.
But there's certain things that we can anticipate. You know, as we have a family, how is that going to make our business look? Are we going to overcome those challenges? Are we going to put our finances in order to make sure we can buy a house, buy a practice?
3 minutes left. Start to finish up.
So guys, we are kind of nearing the end of our day together today. So Conor and I really appreciate the fact that you guys have been kind of playing all out and you've been present in the room, you've been engaging with the activities thus far. So please just stick with us as we come to the last few little bits and pieces. So what we're going to go through next, and this is just going to be literally a minute, okay? So in terms of trying to accomplish what you just set out in that letter, so I just want you to write down a short list or a long list, just 5 or 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 bullet points of things that you can do or focus on in the next 6 to 18 months to help you to get to where that letter is in 8 years. Does that make sense?
We're talking business, your personal stuff from the graph we drew out, your health, your family, your relationships, everything. What are your focuses going to be for the next 18 months? Got an opportunity now, so just write them down. Bullet points.
Quick scribbles. We've got a minute or two here, guys.
What is this? This guy I listen to that design all these types of things. They sit there going, like a mad scientist looking.
Okay, guys, 30 seconds. For the next 6 to 18 months, what are some things you can do? Business, relationships, adventure, personal life, will help, will guide. Alrighty. And we're going to call it there, guys. So a lot of you are just having a look around the tables have been, some of you have been really neat with your 18 pages, some of you a little less so than others, but what I want you to do is find a little space in your 18 page and we're going to draw 3 shapes together, okay?
Well, what are the 3 shapes first of all? We have to answer it.
Okay?
Come up.
Come up.
Interact and active. Getting serious now, guys.
That's right. If you don't do these tasks, you're eliminated.
Anybody watching Squid Game at the moment? Yeah. We're not going to get to this pair off and they read it. But essentially, these 3 shapes are going to represent 3 things, okay? So what I want you to do is with that list you've just written, or some of the things that you've been through with your workshops today, is the circle is the stuff that is floating around in your head. So what is the stuff that's just kind of going around? You know, you pick up an idea from someone, you've heard something, or you've seen something, or you've read something this weekend, that's, you maybe haven't had a lot of time yet to digest, you haven't looked into too heavily, but it's there, and it's just floating around in your head, so you're aware of it. Just either put a little circle next to your list of all the circles, or just in your circle, write a couple of little bits and pieces. So we'll just do that nice and quickly over the next 30 seconds.
The idea being that you can't change everything at once.
No. So you've probably heard of the 80-20 rule? Yeah. So when you're focusing on something, you've probably got a main primary focus that you're looking at, and maybe a secondary focus. But if you're trying to drink more water, do more exercise, get more sleep, do more marketing, do more retention stuff, all at the same time, you're probably going to drive yourself crazy and overwhelmed. So we're just trying to sift out here some of the things that you can start to work towards. So that brings us next into the square. So the square shape is the stuff that you've got locked in, the stuff you've got squared away. So some stuff that you've picked up on this weekend that you're like, yep, Monday morning that's happening. Whether it's your SOT assessment protocol, whether it's getting your bum down nice and low when you're doing Donald Francis's adjustment, or if it's, you know, Simon Billings is on Monday morning, the first person who comes in who talks to you about vitamin D, bang, they're getting a fingerprint test. So what are the things that you've taken from this weekend that you've absolutely got locked in? All right, so just spend a minute or two thinking about that. And again, pop it in your square or draw a little square next to those.
That could be on the 5 things we did before, or anything, any of the exercises we've done today.
All the guys at home doing, are they
Still there, I think.
still there?
They're right done there. As they will get split games. So circles, squares, triangles.
We're getting there in a second. Oh, So we're going to finish with their squares, guys. We need a little more time. 30 seconds is okay? Right. So as we finish off with the squares, the stuff that you've got locked away, the definitive definites that you know is going to happen come Monday morning, we're going to move into the triangle. So what I want you to do here, and I really want you to focus on this one, is to write down 3 ahas from the weekend. So Conor, at his seminar last year, called these his golden nuggets. So 3 big things. And it might be something you're going to do, it might be an idea, it might be someone you've met, it might be one of your ahas. Like, you've met Winfrey, like, shit, I'm going to go do his amazing Zen performance stuff. So one of your ahas might be one of the relationships you formed this weekend. It might be one of the, Tom, I heard your conversation earlier with some of these guys about, the perception shift and some of the stuff that we go through as new grads or new docs. So just spend a quick minute writing down your golden nuggets from the weekend. And we're going to be very careful with this list, okay, guys? Your A3 page is going to stay with you past the weekend. So you've got something to refer back to. Because I don't know who's guilty of this, but you go to a seminar, you write down loads of incredible notes in a textbook or a pamphlet or a leaflet, and you find it 3 years later when you're moving home, you're like, shit, I've done some good stuff back in July 2021. So really, we want you to kind of take this little sheet home, so you can go through it again at your own pace, like, oh yeah, that's the stuff I said I was going to do. Okay?
Great.
All right.
So next. Are we finished? Next bit, we're going to go get our stinky fishes back off the wall. So when you're ready, just
pop up, guys, grab you some of the fish. So these have been clearing out all day. You've probably noticed a few of them as you walk around, and you've got similar stinky fish to you.
I think that's right.
So we've got this stinky fish off the wall.
So there's an exercise that I definitely heard that for us beforehand, or at least in the collective consciousness. Probably the primary sense of being that. But when it comes to self-limiting beliefs, there is an exercise that I do myself. I call it recognize and reframe. So whenever a negative thought comes in my head, like nobody likes me, nobody's going to come to Lions, nobody's buying tickets, none of my patients like, I had that patient who didn't respond well and didn't like my care. It's about recognizing the negative thought pattern and reframing it. The patient says they didn't like my care, I made them feel worse. I helped another 50 patients this week feel better about themselves and have a better life. Nobody's going to come to Lions, and we're not going to sell any tickets. This is our 5th Lions, we always sell tickets, we always do something. So when you take a moment to look at the things you've written down, with the sort of now new eyes, a few hours later, looking at that fish again, is there any way for you, based upon some of the positive things we've been thinking about today, to reframe that negativity into something more positive? So that might be an action step. If you have self-worth issues or concerns about certain aspects, are you going to go and observe more chiropractors? Are you going to seek financial planning with somebody? Are you going to, speak to a coach about trying to help you move out of the environment you're in right now? Do you need to do some more personal development to help build yourself up, build your confidence? So I want you to try to reframe that fish into something a bit more positive. And I want you to write your fish, your new fish, with the reframing down in that top of the. So I want you to write down the stink. I want you to write down the reframe. So the reframe might be, I am worthy. I am smart. People like me. I love myself. Life is good.
I'm an awesome chiropractor.
I'm an awesome chiropractor. I'm an awesome brother. I'm an awesome friend. You write down the reframe at the top. And then I want you to take your stinky fish. I want you to crumble it up into a tight little ball. I want you to come forward and throw it into the bin. But unless you're Norwegian, you should never be eating stinky fish.
Fancy your chances, you can have a go.
From distance.
From distance.
So come on up.
Right. Jake, you have a chance.
Yeah. Hold on. Oh, so close. Ah, yes. Wow.
Who's that?
Why did you miss it that time?
Oh, mate.
No, he has to put it in himself when he can do it. Alright. Okay. We hope by doing that, albeit symbolic gesture, that in some ways lifts that off the shackles that are around your head, that sort of programming that's taken the conquer, or whatever your nickname is, that inner child that was free of any sort of thoughts or belief systems or negative thought patterns, but has gone through a life where things have affected, which all of us have had challenges with. We all have these negative thoughts from time to time. So if we can recognize and reframe, what I really want you to do now, hopefully when we look at your sheet, or you can redraw your sheet, is to have somewhat of a vision board based upon what we've talked about today, something you can take home and put on the wall, where you can see where you're at right now with regard to that spike at the star at the top. You've got your reframed stinky fish. You've got your things, your needs you want, things you're proud of. You've got some stuff you want to do by 2030. You've got some stuff, some action steps you want to take in the next 18 months. You've got them squid gamed up with circles, triangles, and squares. And the last little bit is that's down in that bottom left-hand corner, which is to think a little bit about your purpose. So Naomi talked about this really well yesterday, where she felt that she kind of moved away slightly from what her purpose statement is. And Tamara also talked about this, about how old school chiropractic coaching kind of went into like, what's your numbers? How do you get the patients to the door? What are you going to do to keep them there? And all the sort of macho, egotistical kind of drive to basically say that you're worthy as a chiropractor. I think you're worthy as a chiropractor if you are just one person a week. You know, going and doing a mission trip changed my life really when it came to giving me appreciation for the power of what we do, and certainly reconnected me with my purpose. And I always completely changed my life and moved to a different country, and restarted and reset things. So if the way to think about purpose is to think about your sphere of influence. That might be your parents, it might be your
kids, it might be your friends, it might be your other, but or something beyond that, to like what's your service to humanity, to the world. So I want you just to take a moment to think about that. Who are you responsible for? You know, if you disappeared tomorrow, what would it mean? And if you're struggling with that, then what action steps can you take to develop more of a purpose, to develop more of a giving back? And this will form the foundation of the homework I want you to do. It doesn't end here, guys. This is just the beginning. So, whenever I teach people goal setting, I use a version of Tony Robbins again. You can tell I'm a fan of it. So, Tony talks about an OPA goal. So the O is the objective. And I sometimes think of that as the dream. Like, it's usually the end point, you know, that you want to have the fancy car, the house, or 5 clinics, or 1 clinic, or see the pyramids, whatever it is. But it's the kind of long-term goal that maybe isn't time specific. Okay? The P stands for what we just talked about. Why do you want to see 150 people a week? Why do you want to see 101 people in a day? Naomi realized that that wasn't part of her purpose. It was part of what she thought she should be doing as a chiropractor, because that's seen as something that's really good in chiropractic when you have a thriving business. But it meant that she was, away from her family. It meant that she wasn't in line with her purpose, and so she made a change so that she was more in line with that purpose. So if you're looking at your more of or less of, and your objective is to have more free time, and the purpose of that is because you want to spend more time with your family, then that gives reason behind the objective. If your objective is to see 150 people a week, and you don't have a purpose behind it, then one, it's going to be very hard to push yourself to do that. Only your strength of will do it. But when you have a passionate purpose statement behind, like if you said, it's my mission to try and help as many people through chiropractic by laying my hands on as many people as possible. I'm going to work on my system so it makes it time efficient for me to deliver a high quality of care where I can test and retest to make sure that we're delivering results in the right way, and therefore I can see 250 people a week in clinic or whatever it is. If that's the reason why, then that's a strong purpose statement. If you're just doing it because you feel the pressure of needing to, then it's not going to happen as well. And so the A is action steps. So these are the steps by steps that Mike's just gone through you. Like, what can you change tomorrow? What can you change next week? What can you change next month? What can you change in the next year and a half in order to push you closer to this objective? If your objective is to own 10 clinics in 8 years' time, you'd probably be thinking about starting your first clinic within the next year, right? And then in the next 5 years, you should be having 2 or 3 clinics. So what are those action steps, those things? Because we can have a focus for a period of time. We can't do it all at once. So if the objective or the action step is I'm going to get my finances in order so I can buy a house, then you can action that on Monday. Whereas if you're trying to do everything at once, it's not easy. So you can have multiple action steps that get you on the road to an objective. If you do want to be busier in practice, do you work on your day 1, day 2 procedures so you're communicating more effectively? Do you then work on having an internal referral system that gets clients through the door? Are you then working on a way to improve your service so that they want to stay with you and refer more people to you? Are you adding more value into your service so people want to stay for longer and longer? Do you have a membership plan in place so it's easy for them to pay for that? Whatever that objective is, just using some example. And the bit that I add in with all the people I coach with, on top of what
Tony does is the R, which stands for the review. Because you might write loads of really good objectives, like by 2021 we're going to have a new clinic and everything else, and then COVID hits. And all of a sudden you have to review that objective because something significant's changed. You know, what if somebody in your immediate family needs your attention and your time for whatever reason, and you can't put as much energy into that main objective? What if you really want to see the pyramids, but Egypt has so much sort of. I really wanted to go to Iran. I've always wanted to go to Iran. I love reading history, love Persia and all that idea, but sometimes it's difficult to go to Iran because of the dangers that exist there. And right now it's a very turbulent time in Iran, so I can't go. So there's things that will happen that mean you have to review. So I would like to go to Iran one day, but that will have to be something that changes as we go through time. So this is your homework if you choose to do it. If you've not set goals before, I recommend it just so you can have the process of actually working out what you actually want, and how much of that is based upon what you think you should want, as what other people say you should want, or how much it is actually what you want to do. So that's the homework to do. Any questions about any of that before we finish up for today? Great. Alright, well you can always email me or Facebook me. I'm always happy to share stuff around that. But that's more or less done for today. You had benefit out of today. This was kind of a new idea Mike and I came up with. Rather than just having more speakers, etc., we wanted to try and get people together and just kind of use the room. So, do you think we should do it again? Yeah. Awesome. So yeah, hopefully Mike and I are going to now, between now and Christmas, decide what we're going to do with Lions 22. We'll probably do it earlier in the year again. We normally do sort of March to June traditionally, so we don't clash with the UCA. And my fiance is now in charge of the UCA. I annoy her. So I'd just like to, so we've got the Lions 22 coming up next year at some point. I am actually going to be stopping practice in January. Karen doesn't know that, so you do know that, okay, that's fine. Karen knows that, so it's okay. Just a lot of house people don't necessarily know that I'm stopping soon, but I will be. My primary focus is going to be putting more value into the Lions and growing the community. We really want to try and provide space for people to learn and not feel judged about how they learn. We really want to try and put as much back into the profession, both in the UK and globally. We want to try and encourage many of you had some fantastic ideas today to come on and share them on stage and get over whatever stinky fish is preventing you from being able to do that. And we want to help support students in their transition from university into practice life. And yeah, so we've got the webinars going on each month. We've got some great speakers. We want a sort of a monthly top-up of this type of thing, try to make it as affordable as possible. If you guys go back onto the website, you can still get the annual membership for £90, which is at least 12 hours CPD, if not more. We want to have Winford back. Who thinks we have Winford back next year? Yes. Can we give him more than 20 minutes?
I've only got a few years left according to you. So.
Wow. That's true, Winford. We're very blessed to have you come along. We've quite short notice, so as I say, we met in LA, and we're really interested in his work, and we messaged him because we didn't sell tables to anybody because there was a possibility of a lockdown and everything else. So, but I said that we wanted to support the charities, so Scotland College and Hands on Health. But I thought Winfred's eye testing thing would be a really cool thing for you guys to do, and I think that's basically the feedback I got. So, so thank you, Winfred, for coming down and staying with us and sharing your knowledge. We really appreciate you.
I've met some incredible people, so there's so much sincerity in your group you put together, so thank you.
Oh, it's very kind of you, thank you. And I suppose just, a thank you to all of you guys as well. You are here on the weekend, you've chosen to be a part of our pride, and you know, it's not something we take for granted, and we value and appreciate every single one of you being here, and we hope that you can continue to be a part of our group and help us grow it, you know, so get involved with us, please join us for our webinars, you know, we are very in, you know, the early infantile stages of planning a mission trip, but we would love to have some of you guys, you know, whether you have a contact in Uganda or you know someone who works for, you know, please do come and approach Conor and I, because the more we can all work with you, the more we can elevate the experience that you have here with us. And yeah, we just look obviously really forward to the next year and what that brings, and just, you know, continue to grow lines and you know, to push it to the levels that we think we can get to. So just for me personally, and on behalf of Conor as well, I'm sure, a huge thank you to all of you. So you just give yourselves all a really nice round of applause, please.
Thanks to all our online guests as well. You've been great and interacting with us today. So yeah, I hope